Hey guys, time again for another pickup video on Ramblin. I haven't made one of these in quite a while. Been on vacation this entire week. Mainly been lost in PlayStation VR. I did pick up one of those PSVR units when they came out last week. And 2 weeks ago, I mean. And I've been having a good time with it. So far, my favorite game on the system is Battlezone. I love Battlezone on the PSVR. That is a really fun game. Yeah, that's a cool game. I also picked up Eve Valkyrie for the PSVR, and it's okay. The only problem I have with Eve Valkyrie is they give you the option to spend extra money from the PlayStation Store to get all these little packs to upgrade your ships and things like that. So if you don't want to spend any extra money, you can still level up your ship, but just you got to play the game, win some rounds, stuff like that, and progress, and you get upgrades and stuff as you play the game. However, if you want to, you can take the shortcut and buy all these power-ups and things and get a souped-up ship right away. The bad part about it is if you don't want to spend the extra money for the extra stuff, you just want to go through the game and earn it, you better get used to being your butt kicked a lot, because every multiplayer game I've gone into so far, everybody is way overpowered. They hit me like 2 shots and I'm dead. Where it takes me like multiple hits of rockets and things like that to destroy them. So it's kind of skewed that way, and it kind of takes the fun out of the game for me. Having everybody so overpowered all of a sudden. You would think they would try to balance the matches to make people at silver levels go into the battle. So if I'm at level 20, let's say, then other level 20 people around that area are in there, which makes the game fun and competitive and not so lopsided. That's the only bad thing about the game. Otherwise, it's really fun. It's a good space combat game for VR. And then the other game I picked up off the PlayStation Store was Eve Gunjack, which is basically a turret simulator where you're sitting in a gun turret and you're shooting all these enemy ships coming at you and stuff like that. Kind of reminds me of the old arcade game by Cinematronics called Tail Gunner, where you sat in the back of the ship and you shoot ships coming at you. So it's actually, I've enjoyed that quite a bit. It's not very expensive. I can't remember what I paid for it, but it's not very expensive at all. It is a fun game. It's pretty challenging. I have tried out some of the demos on the PSVR, like PSVR Worlds and things like that. And I like the, what's that one game? The Scavenger's Odyssey on there. That's really cool. I like that game. What else I got? One of my thoughts on the PSVR. The tracking is okay. It does seem to want to drift a little bit off to the side every once in a while. And I found that I can minimize that by making sure I have no lights on behind me. So I'm sitting in a pretty much a dark room. And I gotta be careful not to let the back of my head get too close to my easy chair, because the lights will reflect off the cover. And I think the PSVR will pick up that reflection and start causing it to skew. So I have to sit forward in my chair, and by doing this, it doesn't really move around as much as it used to. It very rarely moves on me now. So it's a little touchy in that area. I have been playing around with the, the VR Playroom, whatever it is. That's pretty wild. It's got some good 3D effects in there. I kind of like the ghost hunting game in there, and I also like the monster where you run around and you knock over buildings with your head and other players throw stuff at you. That's pretty funny. But yeah, it's okay. It's not too bad. I wish they could use a better resolution screen inside the head unit itself. It seems to be a little bit lower resolution than what I would have expected coming from Sony. Things up close look really good, but you look at stuff in the distance, they get kind of blurry and kind of pixelated a little bit. It does look like you're looking through a screen door, but I can pretty much ignore that after a while. It's just the low resolution stuff in the far background is what gets to me. It would have been nice to have a better screen, a more HD type screen inside that VR unit. But otherwise, I'm really enjoying it. I like it. I'll probably be playing a whole lot more Battlezone on that crazy thing, because I really like Battlezone a lot. That's a pretty cool game. But other than that, what else has been going on? Not a whole lot because I've been on vacation, lost in VR land. I did pick up the 2 Atari Flashback collections on the PlayStation Network. And they're okay. I mainly picked it up for Tempest, Warlords, things like that. I've been playing some of the regular Atari 2600 games, which emulate really well. They play really nice. I've not been able to hook up with anybody yet to play multiplayer games. Every time I go looking in the multiplayer room, there's nobody there. So I don't know how much of a deal that's going to go. Have to wait and see, I guess. Anyway, let's get to some pickups. Before I get to pickups, though, I had something really cool sent to me by my buddy Rick from the Televisionaries podcast. He sent me this little Lego ColecoVision. Isn't that funny? It's a little Lego ColecoVision. And it's pretty cool. And at my local trader store, I picked up a television flashback console for my buddy Rick from the Toy Tune podcast. He doesn't have one of these. He's wanting one. And I found the one that has the 61 games on it. It was only $20. So, hey, everything is in there. It has all the overlays. Everything looks brand new. So I'll get that sent off to him. Also picked up a pretty cool game for my PlayStation called Shadow Master. Kind of like a run and gun type game. Kind of like Doom, that kind of stuff. The controls are a little hard to get to because you don't use the analog stick on it. Use your D-pad and use the shorter buttons to slide side to side. That's kind of hard for me to get used to when I get used to using the analog stick. But it's got some really great music to it, though. I like the soundtrack of this game. It's pretty awesome. And then for my regular PS2, I picked up Jaws Unleashed. Awesome. Now you can play the shark. Never knew this game existed. I love swimming around and chomping on divers and grabbing fish and stuff like that. It's actually a pretty fun game once you really start getting into it. I really like it a lot. I like shaking his head back and forth with the analog stick after you bite something and shake them apart and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Nice little find there. I love finding games on PS2 I had no idea existed. Especially this next one here. Ghost Hunter. This is made by Namco. Only complaint I have about this game is it has a lot of cutscenes. The very first cutscene you can't bypass, like an Ubisoft game. They force you to watch the intro video. I hate that. I just want to put a game in my machine and start playing. I don't want to watch a mini movie every time I want to play a game. That annoys me. There's a lot of games I won't buy because they do that. I've returned games because they do that. This one plays really neat. It's kind of like playing a Resident Evil type of game combined with Ghostbusters and Silent Hill. It's kind of like that kind of game. You basically go hunting for ghosts. You got this little grenade you throw at them that sucks them in like one of those ghost traps from Ghostbusters. You have an array of weapons like Resident Evil. And the monsters are pretty cool looking, like from Silent Hill kind of stuff. So, yeah, I didn't know this existed. And I'm having a real good time with this game. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to spending more time with this in the near future. And then over on Etsy, ETSY.com, my co-host from the ColecoVisions podcast, John, told me about this CD for the Dreamcast. That's the ColecoVision collection. This is pretty cool. It has a emulator on there called Column, which you can get on the internet. It works on the Dreamcast and stuff. You can actually make one of these discs yourself. I'm just freaking incredibly lazy. I thought it was kind of neat. One was already made, and I like the artwork and stuff they had on the front. So I got one, gave it a try, and it does really well on the Dreamcast. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool. And then I added another LED game to my collection. This one's called Tronox Breakup. It's kind of like Breakout, except you have to time when you hit the ball. You have just one button on here that you push. It's called Hit. And as soon as the ball is above that little red line, you hit the button to get it to go back up and start destroying bricks and start speeding up and shooting off all over the place. It always comes back to the center of the screen, so you just got to time it to keep the ball going. It's a lot of fun, actually. And I found a really neat game in the box, complete in the box, Dunk and Sunk. This was sold at Kmart stores back in the 70s. And it has 2 games built into it. It has a basketball game, which is a pretty good basketball game. Kind of reminds me of Basketball 2 by Mattel Electronics. But it also has a submarine game where you try to shoot torpedoes at this destroyer that goes across the top of the screen while it's dropping bomb barrels at you. So that's kind of neat. It's got 2 LED games built into one. That is incredible. So yeah, I've not seen one of these before, so I was pretty happy to pick this up. And then at the Trade-It store for 99 cents, I found one of these 201 electronics project kits. I used to mess with these a lot when I was a kid. Loved these things. And this is a later model. Mine didn't have all the fancy dials and stuff like this. Mine was just a plain a cardboard box with all this stuff inside, and that was it. Has a manual for 200 different projects on here. And this is basically how I learned electronics when I was 6 or 7 years old, was getting these kits for Christmas and building things, and I would start experimenting and building my own circuits. So kind of a flashback to the past seeing this. I went ahead and picked it up. It's only 99 cents, so you can't pass it up for 99 cents. And another cool classic toy I picked up for the Toy Tune podcast is Speedway 4-lane racing. This was a Woolworth exclusive, and it was sold originally for $10. And basically, it's a battery-operated toy. And what it does is it flings these cars out of this starting gate here down the track. They go through and flip over and come back down the same track. There's a little counter down here, a lap counter, so you can have races and stuff. I'll be doing a video on this for Toy Tune here pretty soon. This is pretty awesome. Now, a video I just put up recently was on this Kenner's Zippity Speedway. It was put out in 1968. I was pretty impressed on how well this actually works. It's actually kind of neat to mess around with. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, if you have a Hastings Bookstore anywhere near you, they're going out of business. They're having like an 80% off sale. So I picked up a couple things at the Hastings store I visited in Knoxville a couple weeks ago. I picked up one of these 1/15 scale Back to the Future time machines. Push a little button, it lights up and stuff. That's pretty cool. And 80% off, so it was like 20 some odd dollars for this. So that was pretty neat. And then they had these little Parrot mini drones. Pretty cool. Use your iPhone to control these. And they were 80% off. So this ended up being about $30, regularly $120. So I couldn't pass it up. It's fun to mess around with. I thought it was kind of cool. So if you have a Hastings Bookstore close to you, you may want to go check it out, because they had a clearance and all kinds of neat stuff in there. Anyway, I think that's all the pickups. Yes, that's all the pickups. So until next time, everybody, keep on gaming.